Welcome to another episode of Technical Earth Syndicate, where we inspire, inform, and entertain you. I'm Michael Buffington.
I'm Chris Stewart.
And this is episode 14. Now, as some of you may know, Alan Gray, our co-host, passed away last month on the 14th, right after episode 13 aired. And it's been a very hard time for a lot of us, especially his family. And I didn't know if we were actually going to come back or not. I was kind of the one that, edits it and make sure it gets out there. And I honestly didn't know I was going to come back.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rough ride for everybody involved. Like, even I wasn't even completely sure we were coming back either. So, yeah. But, like I say, the show has to go on. So,
right. Alan will be remembered through us no matter what. He's the one that named our show. He was the one that actually made us... He's the one that made us just push on with the show every single week. And that's just how it's going to be from now on, is we're going to push ourselves and make sure that his message still gets out there,
Yeah. Like we said, we're going to keep Alan's Tech Corner, and we're still going to continue to call it that, just to, honor his memory and all that.
Right.
And I said earlier that we weren't sure if we were going to have a third host or if we were just going to go on with just me and Mike, but we've decided it's just going to be the two of us. And we will have, guest hosts every once in a while, but mainly it's just going to be me and him.
Right. I'd like to bring on as many people as possible, but it's just going to be easier to keep up with Chris and I. So, well, on today's show, we're going to have a new segment. Oh. No, it's the same segment, but I realized what I was doing wrong before. But it's called Topic Attack. We're going to be discussing the Steam community beta, and also Guild Wars 2 that just got released. Along with that, we're going to be doing TES news, and then, of course, as we said, Alan's Tech Corner. So we're going to be making sure that his Tech Corner gets glorified like it always has in every single episode. And we're going to try to do the best we can.
Yep.
Commencing Operation Topic Attack.
All right, let's talk about the Steam community beta.
Well, it's not really a beta anymore. It's like completely, it's out there now, isn't it?
Well, it's still a beta. They're just letting people join it if they want right now. Chris and I got
right.
Chris and I got invited to it. A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we actually set up our show like forums, so we can have everybody join that and have discussions and what have you.
Now, let's talk about it a little bit. I'm really impressed by it.
I am too. Now, it's cool stuff that they're doing with it.
Now, Valve, I didn't know they were going to do this or not, but they actually made a kind of a more of a social network with Steam now, when it was kind of social with friends list and all that kind of stuff. And they already had Steam groups, but it wasn't, it wasn't pretty or anything like that. But they had all that, and they kept the social aspect of what Valve was doing with Steam. Now I call it, now a lot of you are going to cringe at the fact I'm making a Facebook reference, but I'm going to call it Steam Book.
That's basically what it is now.
They have on the community tab now, they actually have a kind of this wall that you can post on, and now you can tag games to like, hey, does anybody want to play this game later on? That kind of stuff. It posts up your pictures. It's pretty much the same community tab, but with more graphics, and you actually see pictures that you post on the wall, just like Facebook does.
Yeah.
And you can make status updates on it, and it has such a cool social aspect like Facebook that I don't know why Steam hasn't done it before.
Yeah, and what really puts it apart from Facebook is that the games are actual games. They're not bullcrap Flash games that nobody even likes, except for some people, I suppose. I'm not a fan of them, but
some people like the Farmvilles and the let me ask you for 1 million invites to give me greenery or something. I don't know. But the Steam social network, and I'll call it that, it's the Steam community, lets you just dive right in and know your friends, not just look at a community wall and be like, oh, they posted up some screenshots, wonder what they posted, you know? It's instead, you actually see the picture and you get to see status updates and you get to see group announcements and stuff like that. And it's really cool. We, like Chris was saying earlier, we set up our Steam group with, it has forums now. It has a announcements page with clickable links in it now. And what else? It has the normal stuff like the friend, not the friend roster, but the community roster of our Steam group, who's in the group and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, where you've got events set up. I think we recently had one for the early release for Guild Wars 2. We had a kind of a midnight release party or something like that, didn't we?
Yeah, I set up an event for Guild Wars for not the midnight release for the actual date. It was the pre-release for anybody that pre-ordered it,
right?
Which wasn't many of our friends. So
I was actually away that weekend, so I think it was just you.
Yeah. It was a party, you know, by myself. Yay. Yeah. Oh, I have some stories. I'll say those another time. No, basically, I can compare this to kind of like Facebook, and right now, you can actually attach you've been able to do this for the past year now, but you can actually attach your YouTube account to your Steam profile, and you can now post your videos, and you get to pick which ones you want onto your Steam account, and those will show up in the community tab as well. So if you post a new video, all your friends get to see a new Left 4 Dead video you just posted or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I posted some CSGO videos and Longest Journey and all that during this time it's been out.
Pretty cool. We're definitely going to be putting our gameplay videos that we do on there as well as YouTube and everywhere else we're putting them.
We're really diving into the social Steam category, you know, and also with YouTube and everything like that. So make sure you look up our Steam group. It's just look up, you know, Technical Earth Syndicate, type that in, or TES podcast. I think you'll be able to find it on the Steam groups and just join, because we've gone public with it, and the Steam beta's in public, and you can discuss stuff on our forums, and that's where we're going to be handing out prizes and you name it. So tell your friends too.
Get on there. Right now it's just me and Mike talking, so it's kind of boring. So get everybody else and your friends have some conversation.
Right. All right, next up, Guild Wars 2.
It
came out.
Can't believe it's out. It doesn't seem real.
It does not seem real. It is awesome. We pre-ordered it, and basically we got a pre-release this past weekend, and we got to play a bunch of it. I mean, I'm already I think level 17 now. Yeah. So it's so good. I don't really know how many words to explain, but it's very good.
It's definitely the best MMO I've played, I'd have to say. I played WoW on and off for 6-7 years, and this, in the first couple of days that I've played the actual full release, not the beta, it's pretty much overshadowed it completely. Just the way they deal with the quests and the random events and bosses that show up out of nowhere is just ridiculous how awesome it is.
Right. I started out on Final Fantasy 11, and then I got EverQuest 2, and then I got World of Warcraft. I remember getting that, and then I played World of Warcraft, and I loved that game for a while, but I wasn't hardcore into it as much as I would have liked to been. Maybe at the very beginning. And then I hate bringing World of Warcraft into this, but that was the basis for most MMOs out there.
Yeah.
It was
it still
the best.
Is really.
Yeah,
if you look at the recent ones that have come out, like Star Wars and what was it, Warhammer Online, I think.
Right.
Kinda was
Conan, everything that was supposed to be a WoW killer. And I'm not going to say Guild Wars is a WoW killer, because WoW is still WoW, you know.
I'm going to say it. WoW's on the way out. I'm calling it now. And Guild Wars is going to be burying it.
Guild Wars is so good, but WoW is still based on subscription fees. And the key to Guild Wars 2 right now is because it has no subscription fees attached to it at all. None. The only thing it has is a microtransaction store that does not make you actually spend money on it, because you don't need to.
Right. You can transfer your in-game money to the gems is what they have. Mm-hmm. And if you bought just the regular standard edition of it, you can save up and convert your stuff to gems, and you can buy the digital deluxe edition and upgrade it.
Right. And I think that's only like 800 points, which is $10 if you spend real money. And it's not that much money. It's like I've been dumping some of my silver and everything into gems recently when I've been playing.
Yeah.
And I got like, I think 100 now. I saved up 100 gems. And that's transferring my in-game money to gems, which, is crazy. I mean, I can afford, I think, some vanity items like some sunglasses or a hat or something like that right now. But basically, you do not have to spend any money except the initial fee of like, what, $60 with the game when you purchase it.
Yeah. And for as much content as you get, it's well worth it, especially without the monthly fees and all the other stuff that is just, it's crazy.
Guild Wars 2 basically is all the bells and whistles that you're looking for in an MMO such as WoW or EverQuest 2 or Star Wars or anything without those fees. And it has all that. And as time progresses, they're going to be charging for expansions and stuff like that, like all the other companies do. But like say they have a big expansion that's going to add a new zone or something, they'll probably charge like what, $10 for it or something like that. That's how they're going to maintain it. But it's not like you wouldn't get that with WoW. You would have to pay for that expansion, or with Star Wars, you would have to pay for that expansion. And also your fee of $14 a month.
Yeah. And I would imagine if they're doing if they're having it to where you can upgrade to the deluxe version just through transferring your in-game money to gems and buying it with that, I would imagine that when the expansions come out, you can probably do it with that as well.
Yeah, you could probably do that as well. And
this is just me speculating, by the way, but
right.
It makes a lot of sense from what I've seen today.
I mean, what if they have like a new PvP zone that they want you to buy that it has all these extra things that you can't get in the normal game, and it's like $5, but you don't have to really spend money. You can say there's a new expansion or a new area that's going to be unlocked or whatever, and they maybe want you to pay $5. Maybe you don't have that money, and so you're like, oh, well, I'll just grind for a couple days and earn the gems and just buy it that way,
Yeah.
And not using your own cash. That's awesome. And there is a way to buy gems and then trade the gems in for gold. So I guess if you're a gold buyer for MMOs, I know a lot of people do buy gold in MMOs, and that's why there's so many gold farmers out there. They kind of kill that process off.
Yeah. Now, this isn't really anything new because EVE players will recognize they do a similar thing with they have a monthly fee, but you can grind in-game money to
pay for game time.
To pay for your game time, yeah.
And Diablo 3 just did that too with their live auction house. That's not doing as well as they wanted it to. But people are making money. You can actually turn that money into WoW subscription fee. So WoW's kind of doing it too if you bought Diablo with it. And from what I hear, it's pretty hard to make money on Diablo. So
yeah, I've been hearing a lot of horror stories about it, but we won't really get into that. We're not talking about Diablo today. Guild Wars 2 though, it's just amazing. I can't praise it enough, really. Just God, where do you even continue with it? Just the way they do the quests, like with WoW, you would go into a town and you'd see like 20 people with exclamation marks, and you would have to go through and get all those quests. With Guild Wars, you just go into a new area and it'll pop up, hey, this person needs help, so go around and either feed these cows or kill these pigs, and everything that you do for this particular area, it'll fill up a bar to clear that quest, and it sends your reward straight to your email, which you check wherever you want. You don't have to go to a mailbox either.
I was working on it today, and I had all these gigantic quest pop-ups or events that say something is coming, blah blah blah. And there started, this camp was being attacked by all these frost giant things. And I was like, what is going on? So I joined in, I took out those, and then the group in the tent decided, they're like, we're going to lead our army to the towers and take those over. And it was like a lore quest, and you actually went in and took over towers, and finally you got to the middle and you had to take their encampment. And right when you did that, a gigantic raid boss summoned there, and he was like, who's disturbing me? And basically you had to end up taking out this raid boss, and me and 20 plus people were trying to down this guy, and it took almost 7 minutes to down him. People were dropping like like flies. I'm playing the Guardian, and I'm just like, I'm trying to keep the party buffed and healed, and I'm trying to do my damage. And finally we defeat them, and they were like, "Whoa, we got this!" And you get your rewards and whatever. It's just the dynamic events with that is just so cool. And you could just be playing and something randomly pops up, or a villager comes up to you and says, "Hey, I need help," and you don't have to help them. And it's not like you have to accept this quest and it's going in a journal. You have to help them either right then or now, or just walk off and forget them like a normal person. Like, no, I don't want to help you. I don't want to die today. I mean, it's cool. Now, Chris, what did you experience recently with the kind of dynamic events?
Well, kind of similar to what you were just talking about with the raid boss. Like I was in some kind of a swamp area, and it popped up, some dark forces are showing up around the outside of the swamp, and then so you see people kind of gathering because everybody kind of knows that's when the big world event is going to start.
Right.
So a bunch of enemies started showing up, and we're killing them, and then it was the portals you had to close off.
Yeah.
We were closing off all these portals around the swamp, and then suddenly you hear like, craziness, and then this giant like darkness demon or whatever it was, I don't even know, but he just appears in the middle of the swamp. He's ridiculously huge, and like you said, like 20-30 of us were just going to town on this world boss.
And that's kind of like the in-game rating system that you get without having to organize a gigantic raid. And some of you might be like, "Oh, that's not fun," but it is, because you still get you get raid tokens for it and stuff like that. They're called karma tokens, right?
Yeah.
But how long did it take to down them though?
About the same as yours, probably about 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But what's really awesome about this is I'm only like level 11 or 12 at the time. Like,
and you got to
awesome
experience
stuff starts happening like right from the get-go. You don't have to get to level 80 for the real game to begin. And that's what I really like about this game.
And I still haven't even touched the surface of this game. Like, I've only discovered, I think, 8% of the world right now.
Yeah.
And I'm level 17 only because I've been grinding on what's it called, crafting. And there's crafting. There's like all the normal stuff that an MMO has, and then this crazy PvP system. Now, Chris, you played that PvP system. I still haven't. Why don't you kind of explain how that works?
It's okay. It's kind of like a separate game from the regular campaign where you do your quests and stuff. Mm-hmm. You go into this giant world, and you have you have your server that you're on, and then 2 other ones that are kind of warring against each other, and they've each got their own separate area of this giant map. So you've got like your one server has your big castle like keep area, and then the other 2 have their own places. And then there's other stuff kind of in between, like NPC camps that you kind of will have to either fight, or you can kind of help them out, and they'll kind of join your team, and they'll fight on your side with you. And there's just so much stuff you can do. You can just go off and attack the other castles, or you can build siege weapons, gather supplies, and things like that.
It's kind of like what Battlegrounds and WoW kind of had that aspect, but it wasn't that big.
Yeah, and of course there's just the standard, arena PvP stuff as well. But a lot of it is just like, you got your big like faction kind of, and you're just kind of trying to get your world rating up, I guess, to get like buffs for your whole server or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how it works out, but you do get perks from it.
Yeah, server versus server, like I think, the server that wins if you're in that battle gets something. I really haven't gone into it. Maybe we can talk about it another time when we really figure it out. But enough about that. Now, our concerns with the game so far. What issues have we been running into with the release of it? And this is just week 1 of the game.
Honestly, I haven't had too many problems with it. Like, I think you said you've been having some frame rate issues a little bit off and on.
Sometimes, most of the time I get 60 frames. So
yeah. My stuff's been running pretty smoothly as well. I've heard that there are a couple of quests that have been glitched, like stuff isn't appearing as it's supposed to. I think we actually did one the other day that was glitched.
Yeah, that's like the normal for MMOs though, because players break games and code gets broken and all that kind of stuff.
I'm actually surprised though. Like for the first few days of the game, like I haven't had any like you can't connect because the servers blew up and nothing
Right.
really horrible like that has happened. Unlike Diablo, you couldn't connect at all for the first few days.
What I had some issues with was last night my wife and I were playing, and we couldn't. It was the first night of release, like the official release, and go figure. I was like, oh, why are we even playing this if we're gonna have issues? But it's fine. We didn't have many issues playing the game. It was trying to get in the same server together because like we're all in the same server, but they have these overflow servers that are for all the people that are on overflow because there's a queue to get into the official server.
Yeah.
And that means you can still play, which is really cool. But my wife and I were actually having some real issues kind of trying to party up with each other. Like normally we just run into the city and we see each other and then we zone out back out. We did that, but we still didn't, one of us would be in the overflow server and we couldn't we couldn't party. And finally we were able to, but I think it was just because the server was so overflowed and the game's been overflowed too that they were just trying to add as many overflow servers as possible, and it was just jumping left and right,
Yeah.
So maybe they'll fix a little bit of the party system. They're actually how it's supposed to work is if you have party mates that are in different servers because of an overflow, you're supposed to right click their portrait and say join their session, and you'll be able to warp right into where they are. And we did that earlier this weekend, and we had no issue with it. But apparently it's been like a off and on bug recently, so. Hopefully they address that. Performance issues are great with that game. That game can run on a lot of systems. I loaded it on a old 2.0 gigahertz dual core system with not a great video card in it. It ran it, but it looked horrible. But the point is, it still ran it, and it ran it at like 20 plus frames on horrible settings. My computer, I have a 6-core processor. I have a 460 1 gig chip. I got 8 gigs of RAM. The game runs flawlessly. Chris has about the same, I also loaded it on a boot camp version of, I have an iMac, and all you people are like, boo! No. I have an iMac, and I dual booted it with Boot Camp. And for those that don't know Mac lingo, that is Boot Camp is for Boot Camp for Windows 7 or any Windows operating system. And you're able to run Windows OS on your Mac. So I did that, and I'm having a little bit of performance issues just because I'm low on RAM, and I just ordered some more. But it looks good. It's running good. And this is a 2010 iMac, so pretty much, I want to say, I was even reading that people on boot camp that had a 2009 MacBook Pro or iMac, whatever, weren't having that many issues either. Just upgrade your RAM probably. But overall, this game is the smoothest launch I've ever seen. And the second smoothest, I think, was Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Guild Wars 2 is just bam, bam, bam. They're pulling in audiences. I mean, I think they said they had over 1 million pre-orders. So
yeah, you can tell that they're really putting a solid effort into this game, or like they have up until now, and are continuing to put a really big effort into it. Because as long as they've been working on it, it's been like a good 3-4 years at least that they've been working on this game.
Yeah.
And just with all the hype that's been surrounding it over the years, for it to be launching this well is really surprising.
It is. It really is. And it runs on pretty much all, not I want to say all computers, just most up-to-date computers,
Yeah. As long as you're not running like Windows XP or something, you should be pretty much good.
Well, even Windows XP people can play it because it's run off of DirectX 9. And I know a lot of people that have, Windows Windows XP, which you probably shouldn't, but sorry. You probably shouldn't be running XP, but if you do, it will still run it probably fine. It does. They said they were going to be adding in DirectX 11 support later on, so we'll see how that goes.
TES News.
All right. Well, good news for Battlefield 3 players. The new expansion, Armored Kill, I think it is going to be available for premium members for PS3 on September 4th. Xbox and PC will be coming out on September 11th for the premium users. But if you're not a member of Premium, PS3 is going to be coming out September 18th, and since I think they bought the rights to do early access, kind of like Xbox does with Call of Duty, You get it on the 18th. 360 and PC is going to be to the 25th. And that's going to be priced at $14.99 if you don't have premium. So
Now, if you don't even have the core Battlefield 3 yet, I would probably wait until September 11th because the premium edition of the game is coming out. I think it's like $70. It's going to have everything that has come out with the premium content.
Plus all the remainder premium stuff, which
Right.
is pretty cool.
So The World Ends With You has a pretty decent fan base, I think. I've never played the game myself, but I think it's one of the few really great DS games that came out. First really original Square Enix game in a long time. It's definitely got a huge fan base, but it's coming out on, actually it's already out now on the iOS. You can get it on the iPhone for $18 and the iPad for $20.
Now, we discussed a little bit that it was kind of steep, but apparently you get a lot of content in the game, so if you don't mind paying for something like that, I'd still recommend getting the DS copy if you have like a 3DS or DS still, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of an update for PlayStation Plus subscribers. This week they've added Lights Camera Party. They have it for 50% off for PS Plus members. It's normally it's $30, and as of this week, it's $15 for that.
Woohoo!
Space Channel 5 Part 2 is 40% off. It's $2.99, normally $4.99. Spelunker HD is 50% off. It's normally $9.99. It's down to $5. September 4th, Borderlands, the first game, not the second one. Borderlands is going to be free for PS Plus members, and all the DLC is going to be 50% off. Daytona USA is 40% off. It's $2.99 down from $4.99. Greedcore, I'm not sure what that game is. I think it's kind of like the turn-based Worms type of game.
Right.
It looked interesting. It's 50% off. It's $2.50 down from $4.99.
Huh. Well, those are a good list of PS Plus, discounts and Borderlands for free. They're not a bad deal.
Yeah, I'd probably be picking it up if we didn't burn ourselves out on the PC version.
Right on. Psychonauts has been just released on the PSN network for PS3 users, and that was a great PS2 classic and also a classic for any console back then. So there you go.
Good news for Gears of War fans who want to play Deathmatch but are tired of Team Deathmatch. You're getting a free-for-all multiplayer for Gears of War Judgment.
Oh,
exciting
baby.
For me.
Oh, I love free-for-all. Yeah. Happy Wars, Xbox Live's first free-to-play game, is going to be coming out. Do you know the date on that one, Chris?
I do not.
I think they said later on this year. It's supposed to be a free-to-play game on Xbox, the first one, actually. And it's supposed to, I think, there's supposed to be like 32 players per team battles or something like that. It's supposed to be pretty crazy. So.
Yeah, I watched the gameplay video or the trailer or whatever. It's got kind of a Fat Princess vibe, if you haven't played that game.
That's a cool game, too.
I don't know if it has the same like capture the flag type elements, but it really kind of looks like that sort of game. Sad news for Nintendo Power subscribers. Their last issue is going to be running this December.
Man.
Yeah,
Nintendo
after 24
Power.
years.
Yeah,
I
man.
believe it's been out that long.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember my parents did a subscription for me for Nintendo Power, and I was so stoked every single month whenever I got a new issue, and I got to find out about the new Zeldas and all the new Nintendo 64 games, and you name it, and before that too. So that's sad news, but December is the last issue, so make sure you pick up that last issue.
Might be worth something someday.
Maybe. All right. LG opens its Game World for smart TV players. Game World will globally launch later this year. So I just bought an LG TV, a smart TV, and it has a little bit of Game World on it, but there doesn't really have that many games. And apparently you're supposed to be able to plug in like a Xbox controller or something into your TV with the USB ports and actually play some games. And with my TV came with this motion remote control thing. It's kind of like a Wii remote, and it uses it as a mouse cursor for the TV. And you're able to use that with games too. So I'm guessing they're going to put a lot of those Android games and that kind of stuff on there. So
Down for another TS review.
So I picked up Slender for PC. It's a free game. You can download it at slendergame.com and probably a few other places as well. It is pretty damn scary. I don't think I've been scared by a game since I think the last one I played was Amnesia, the Dark Descent. This game is ridiculously scary. Like if you're not familiar with the Slender Man urban legend, it's kind of I think it came out on the internet of all places.
The internet, go figure.
Yeah, Slender Man is basically this creature who he wears this like black suit and he has like no features on his face. He's just kind of a blank slate. And if you're walking around in the woods at night or whatever, he'll kind of sneak up on you and kidnap you or whatever.
Kill you,
creepy stuff. But this game, basically, you go around and you're picking up these 8 little notes that you find in the world that I guess kind of tells you about Slender Man or something. But yeah, it's a really short game. You beat it in probably 20, 30 minutes. But just the atmosphere and like you can't fight or anything. It's like Amnesia. You just like you have to run if you see the monster basically.
That's horrifying.
And you can tell he's getting closer because your screen will get kind of staticky. So if it starts getting really staticky, hard to see, he's probably right behind you and you're probably going to die. But you walk around really slow. It's kind of annoying, but you have a jog button and you have a flashlight. Of course, the flashlight can die, so you kind of need to find your notes pretty quickly if you want to beat the game.
Now it's a first-person shooter or a first-person game. It's a first-person game, right?
Yes, it's a first-person game.
That sounds pretty creepy.
It is. I actually haven't even finished the game yet because it's just so scary. I can't get back into playing it.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Amnesia, and that was pretty scary, so I'm wondering how this is.
Oh, man.
Well, check it out. What's the site for that again?
Slendergame.com. And you can pretty much just look it up on Google, and there's other places you can find it as well.
That's right. Google it. And also Google Slenderman and get creeped out. And you'll probably hate us for listening to us. And anybody that knows a Slenderman is like, why are they saying his name?
He's not Candlejack. Oh, no!
Alan's Tech Corner.
All right, welcome to Alan's Tech Corner, where Chris and me are going to be basically, trying to do what Alan would have done best. So, and we'll try to keep it as truthful as not. Alan was such a smart person that I don't really think we can get to his level of intelligence with some of the tech stuff he used to discuss. So, first up though, Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, he passed away this, on the 25th, and pretty sad news, but everyone knows that he was the first man on the moon, landed, July 20th, 1969. It made history and he will always be remembered. And, he gave NASA the core foundation for what they stand for, Yeah. And speaking of space, the Mars rover, and I wish we would have got to talk about this earlier this month, but we couldn't. But the Mars rover, I know Alan would have loved to talk about this because it was really exciting when it happened. The Mars rover just landed on Mars on the 5th. So awesome. August 5th, 2012 at, what was it, 10 o'clock?
It was about 10:30 at night.
Yeah, 10:30 at night. And that's just awesome because the last one broke.
Yeah, they've sent a few up there and
Yeah.
it just has not been working out up until now.
No.
So pretty
This
cool
one-
stuff that is working out now.
This one is decked out. It has everything you need it for. And they've been sending pictures back and everything. They launched it November 26th. So, that took a while to get there.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So if you don't really think about space travel and how long it'll get there, it got there, just August 5th. So it's really cool. Now, it started sending pictures back, and you can look those up on NASA's site, and they are gorgeous. They just did a colored image recently, a high-resolution colored image, and they've been taking pictures left and right, and also...
shooting lasers at rocks.
Yeah, shooting lasers at rocks. It's really cool. Now, when it first got there, it basically needed a brain transplant. It needed a brain transplant, that's what they called it, but it was a software update. And that was for the smarts for driving and the other tasks that it was meant for. Now, I don't know exactly why they didn't have that piece of software installed on it before they got there, and I think they had their reasons, because its main mission was landing, you know?
Yeah.
The rover's brain transplant, or software update, started on August 10th through the 13th, and it installed a new version of software, basically to, kind of update the brain of the rover to do its daily tasks, like driving around, shoot lasers at rocks, you name it, basically discover and map out Mars, which that's its main focus. What they're doing, they're trying to send as many videos and you name it back. I mean, a couple of videos have already came back from the landing and everything, so we'll see how it goes. And there's been just people just blowing up over this. This is just great history in the making,
Yeah, they've been, even just in the last few days, they've been doing really awesome stuff. I think just yesterday they played the first song transmitted from another planet. How amazing is that?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and today they made tracks in the ground or whatever with Morse code. So they're leaving messages and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, this is awesome. This is awesome, and keep on following, because the more this year progresses, the more this rover is going to do. And since they can send software upgrades, they can tell it to do other things, and it's just, oh, man, this is just going to be awesome. Look it up. Look at all the videos. Look at all the pictures. Follow the Facebook group that NASA has that devotes it. Follow the Twitter. What's the Twitter called?
I think it's like Sarcastic Mars Rover or something.
Yeah,
it's funny stuff.
Some of the guys at NASA made a Twitter account, and it was some of the Twitters that they were saying. It was like,
it's like, I ran over a rock today. How exciting, or something like that.
Stuff like that. It was really funny. It was great. It was awesome. Followed all that. But now speaking about Mars, a company called Mars One is planning on having people living on Mars by 2025. Now, that sounds a little, crazy, actually, right now, if you think about it.
That's like barely 10 years from now. It's pretty ambitious.
It is. And then I heard about this from a friend that sent it to me. He's like, yo, you guys should talk about it in your podcast. And now it's the Mars rover kind of landed on Mars. I think this is a good time to talk about this.
Yeah.
Mars One is, some of the people are from NASA, everything, but it's an independent company. And their plan is to have, us on Mars and a little civilization up there for research and all that kind of stuff. Now, it sounds all good on paper. It really does. But I'm a little skeptical at first. I want to see more as the time progresses, but they have a timeline mapped out for what they want to do. Now, they announced this last year, and they basically were just trying to go through the routine and what they're going to do and the supplies, what they're going to need and everything like that.
Yeah. Basically,
next year in 2013, they're going to be selecting astronauts for the trip. And there's going to be tests involved and all that kind of stuff. And there will be a total of 40 astronauts for Mars One, and their goal is to. I'm guessing what they're planning on doing is, like, I'm seeing a picture right now of, like, there's grass growing on Mars or anything. Technically, you could terraform portions of Mars and get away with that, if they do it right. So
yeah, and have kind of like a biodome sort of thing. This is where people could live.
Right, and they have all sorts of, like, they have like these little pods, I guess they're going to be living in. But what's going to happen? 2014, they're going to be building a lot of the stuff and preparations for the launch, and the launch for their first supply drop is going to be in 2016, and that's supposed to give their first pod of supplies and food and all this other stuff to Mars. Now, you're probably wondering how they're going to be getting food to these guys. I guess they're going to have stockpiles, and then they're going to send them in advance every single year to give them food enough for the year of lasting. So I think the first, let's see here, in 2018, they're going to be launching a rover on Mars, and I'm guessing it's going to be kind of like the rover that NASA sent. Now, I'm wondering if NASA's going to get involved with this as well, if research goes well,
Yeah.
And they're going to be scouting out a decent location and put, their little structures down. In 2021, the rovers and I guess the robots and everything are going to be setting up 2 living units, 2 life support units, and a second supply unit for another rover in total. The 2 rovers take all the components to the settlement location and start prepping the area for the astronauts. So basically, they're going to be building all the life support stuff and the structures and everything like that. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this sounds very weird and far-fetched right now, but it could happen, and it's very interesting. 2022, basically, they're going to be sending more supply and oxygen and all that kind of stuff, and that's when it's going to be fully ready for the most part. They're basically still prepping. In 2023, the astronauts will be landing. The first 2 people set foot on Mars. That's their plan. And they're going to be living there, and they'll have all their supplies, and hopefully everything goes according to plan. And they're going to be making the steps necessary for the next people that will come and live there as well. After 2023, in 2025, the next group will be showing up. Now, I'm pretty sure they're going to send more supplies to them throughout those few years. So, and that's like a mapped out timeline of kind of what Mars 1's going to be doing. Now, I'm hoping they're going to get funded. I know they're already funded by a bunch of different people, but I'm really hoping that like NASA will get involved. And I mean, this could be just the breakthrough we need to start terraforming a planet and living on there. Now, Mars is pretty dangerous, the winds and everything. So I'm wondering how they're going to plan on dealing with that,
Yeah, not to mention all the, it's just basically dust over there, isn't it? It's not a whole lot of grass or anything like that. So I'm not really sure how terraforming works. Maybe it's just some kind of machine. It puts it down and then there's grass. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like going to be a slow process. Alan actually knew a lot of what they could do. Alan was kind of excited to talk about this, but we were kind of waiting. So, but there is water on Mars, and it's ice, of course, but there is water. You can find it. And I'm sure if NASA's supposed to be conducting with their new rover that we were just talking about before, drilling into Mars to see what they can find. That's supposed to be analysis, finding out what's in the soil and everything, what they can use. But they can start, the process of terraforming slowly, even though it's not going to be livable, to breathe on Mars for a very, 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 very long time. But this is a good setup. And if we can start, setting up base camp on Mars, that makes it, maybe we can have a space station in the middle where someone's in the middle of Earth and Mars, that it makes it easier to do supply drop-offs,
I'm just waiting for the rover we have up there now to find Transformers already.
I know, right? Transformers. But Mars 1, look into it. You can go to their site, mars-1.com, and they have all the mission of what they're doing. And now I kind of just did a rundown of it. I didn't explain everything, but definitely look up the site and what the company's doing. And also it shows their, basically all the news that they're going to be doing and their development. And you can actually buy a shirt that says Mars 1 on it. It has a gigantic Mars in the center. They're selling merch. That's a little weird. No, it sounds like a cool thing, something to look into. I'm just a little skeptical of how they're going to go about it,
Yeah, especially in such a short time frame. That's really close. It doesn't seem like it would be, but 10 years is really not that long a time.
Right. Now, they probably have everything worked out, but they just need the money and the supplies and, everything else.
So buy their T-shirts.
T-shirts! No, look into them, and hopefully they get funded, so... Well, Chris, what are you doing for your weekend?
Well, we got 4 days. It's long Labor Day weekend. I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Guild Wars 2 for this weekend and for several weekends in the future, to be honest. But I'm going to be... Actually, this Friday, we're probably going to be having some friends over, and we're going to try this game called Fiasco. It's kind of a D&D type role-playing game. First kind of game I've ever attempted to play, so it should be interesting.
You should enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be probably going to a beer fest here and basically just having fun and playing Guild Wars and all this other stuff because they got a festival here in town. So
yeah, sounds fun.
It'll be pretty good. So gaming and beer, can't go wrong with that, right?
I don't know. It's gone wrong a couple times, I think.
Yeah. And that's another story for another time. All right, well, that's the end of our show. You can follow us on Twitter. Mine's mbufftes.
Hit me up at CStewTES.
We're also on iTunes, and we're also, like I said earlier in the show, join our Steam group. Our Steam group is very necessary to join now because we're going to have all this extra stuff on there and contest and you name it.
Come and talk to us.
Come, please. And then also our YouTube. We've been posting a lot of gameplay videos and all this other stuff. Like, we have a video of us playing Saints Row. Saints Row the Third. It's really fun. Really good.
Yeah. I'll actually be uploading a short gameplay video of Slender this weekend as well, if you want to check that out.
Awesome. Cool. I don't really want to watch it because I'm going to get afraid.
Watch it in the dark. Do it.
No. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. This episode and all further episodes are dedicated to Alan Gray Jr., our friend, co-host, and brother. Please make sure you look after your health. We only can give so much during our short lives, but at least make sure you extend it by being healthy. So go to your local doctor if you're having any issues. Please pass this message on to everyone. Until next time, this is Technical Earth Syndicate, signing off.